Hello, everyone. Pat Dana MMA back with another DWCS breakdown. I'm pretty sure this is episode 17 of my breakdowns. So, very happy to have gotten to this point with you all. But going to be kicking off the week 8 action here with a featherweight fight between Venezuela's Alberto Montes and Colorado's Carlos Calderon, kicking it off with Alberto Montes first. So, Montes is 5'7", has a 73-inch reach, and a 9-1 record in pro MMA. He trains out of MMA Masters and has also fought in Combate Global for most of his career and has a Taekwondo background. With that Taekwondo background, Montez is constantly firing off these quick kicks, just always putting it on his opponents with these kicks and well placed, well timed, very good kicks. Just a ridiculous arsenal of these kicks as well. Spinning kicks, jumping switch kicks, side kicks, cartwheel kicks, and just basic roundhouse kicks. He's throwing them all in almost every fight. If it goes long enough, you'll see all of those kicks used in some variety throughout the fight. He's very, very fun to watch on the feet just because of that kicking game. In turn, his hands aren't as good as his kicks for sure, but they're not bad in their own right. He has some boxing to him too. He does open rounds very fast. He comes out firing mostly and tries to put his pace on the fight as soon as it gets going. He does rush in a little bit wild though and swings a bit wide in the process, just a little bit too wild sometimes. He does have some pretty good striking defense, some decent head movement. He is always circling to his right very heavily, but he hasn't really paid for it yet other than one time. So that could be something to look out for, but he normally has some very good striking defense and it isn't very easy to hit him. He can be caught moving back in a straight line though, and that's something you'll see. Like that's why he normally is moving from side to side, especially to his right, because he knows that if he moves back in a straight line, he is a bit more susceptible to some of those strikes. And he doesn't do that well with guys that pressure hard out of the gate and negate his pace and put their own pace on the fights. The fight kind of needs to be held at his pace, and if it's not, it's going to be a lot tougher for Montez to get the win because he needs to have control of how the fight's going to really be succeeding. For his grappling, Montez can be controlled against the cage a bit, but he does have some solid takedowns and good top control. He has an amazing Darce and an amazing Anaconda choke. He's very slick and just kind of locks it up immediately out of nowhere, and he's used it multiple times to win multiple fights. It's a very nice choke, and it's something that I think we will see in this fight. Something to definitely keep an eye on. His takedown defense isn't the best. Calderon does like to grapple a bit, but he is good at getting up quick. He is good at scrambling. He is okay off of his back. So even if he does get taken down, it's really not the end of the world for Montez. Moving on to Carlos Calderon. Calderon fights out of Elevation Fight Team in Colorado. He is 5'10" and has a 6-2 record. He is short notice opponent stepping in for Robbie Ring, who was on the Contender Series last year and was supposed to appear again, but had to step out of the fight. So Carlos Calderon coming up on short notice. Props to him for that. Also has fought in Combate Global, so this will be a Combate versus Combate fight. Calderon is always bouncing well. He's always moving. He has some really nice leg kicks, but apart from that, his striking technique is very strange. It's very interesting to watch, I guess you could say. He has a pawing jab, like he kind of just paws at opponents with the jab. It's a pretty good jab, but it's not like a very straight, very powerful jab. It's more just like boom, back off, boom, back off. And then he does throw on those weird angles constantly and just kind of goes for those explosive strikes. His hooks come at very weird angles and he's throwing them very awkwardly. Even his overhands, he throws a lot of punches like weird angles, but it works. It's been pretty effective for him. It's just very strange to actually watch sometimes. He does run in with his hands low, swinging from his hips. He does keep his chin up, and he has been rocked before because of that. He does recover well, but his chin is a bit of a question mark because he has been hurt a couple times before. Calderon really does use his length and his reach well on the feet, though. That awkward striking does work out for him, and it's something that we will likely see in this fight. He is a bit 50-50 in the clinch. It's mostly just position battles when he's in the clinch, but then he sometimes off the break or even when he's controlling well will land a massive elbow that's just out of nowhere. And it's like, whoa, why doesn't he throw those more? So his elbows are very effective as well. He also has some decent trips when he's in the clinch. He can get the fight to the floor through his trips in the clinch, but I don't love his traditional takedowns. I don't think his entries are that good. He does still sometimes pull through and get the takedown, but I feel like he gives his opponents a chance to sweep or reverse a lot of the time on his takedown attempts. They're a bit telegraphed and a bit far out, I guess you could say. He doesn't have the best takedown defense either. He kind of rushes in and swings into those shots. But when he's not doing that, he can defend takedowns fairly well. It's just he kind of runs into takedowns at times. When it is on the ground, he has some very good transitions and some very solid back control. He is very slippery off his back as well. His transitions and submissions when he's on his back are very effective. He has a great triangle and knows how to get out of, not even get out of, but just kind of make it very uncomfortable for his opponent on top. He will give up his back when his opponent starts to ground and pound, though. He does kind of, start to give up some dominant positions if they're threatening with the punches. He doesn't have the best sub defense either. He is very flexible and he can kind of bend out of uncomfortable positions just by being as flexible as he is. I've seen his arm bend in some crazy ways that just shouldn't be able to, and it ends up working for him. So he actually has decent sub defense because of his flexibility, but apart from that, it isn't the best. That's the thing with Calderon. I just don't know if he does anything so incredibly well. He just kind of does everything pretty well and has a very interesting and awkward style. He's a very odd fighter to watch, to be quite honest, and it just isn't something we're used to seeing. For my prediction for this fight, it's pretty tough. I'm just not sure which one of them is more skilled, to be honest with you. I want to say that Montes is the better kickboxer and that Calderon is the better boxer for sure, but neither of their grappling, I think, outshines the other by much at all. I think they both have effective submissions. I think they both have decent takedowns, both have okay clinch games. I just don't think either guy necessarily outshines the other massively in any other areas, like specifically. So I'm just going to rely on Montez to lock up some kind of crazy submission because Calderon is coming into this fight on short notice. It's only like a week or so notice, and I think that his gas tank might not be in the best place. He kind of has an unproven gas tank. So I want to say that Montez gets the submission, maybe locks up that Darce in round two. But it's a very interesting fight. I think it'll probably end by submission or decision, or if anything. I don't know if either of these guys will knock the other out. I don't know if either of them have that much power in their hands. This is a very weird fight to analyze, but I am leaning that Alberto Montes does get the second round submission win with the Darce choke, I guess we'll say. I guess we'll go with exact submission too. I doubt that ends up being right, but I guess we'll see. Thank you all for joining me for episode 17 of my DWCS breakdowns. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more of these breakdowns, and stay tuned for a pretty interesting interview I have coming up with potentially someone that was on this season of DWCS. I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out, but I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.